Okay, we are recording. I would vote for skipping next week because I'm actually out all next week. But so that's my preference.
Sorry, what's next week?
July 4th.
Independence Day.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Or I guess July 5th is the.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the American holidays now.
Yeah, I'm off next Tuesday also. I mean, if we don't have enough agenda, I'd prefer skip also.
Yeah, skipping seems fine to me. Does anybody have a burning topic for next week's meeting? That is not a burning topic.
Given there's none for today.
We are getting very close to the release, and test cases are. So what happened was we were 99.5% automated, and suddenly we came up with the new criteria of finding the pages which are having more hits and marking them as P0. So based on the criteria, me, Eric, and Brian worked, and we have a new criteria-based sheet where based on that new criteria, there are 24 new identified P0s for this quarter, which needs testing. So what we did was, I don't know who's presenting. Can you click on that test cases sheet?
Yep.
Okay. So if you go to the second tab, yeah, so each working group assigned 4 test cases. Like literally all other P0s from the old sheet are all are tested automatically. But this one is the new one based on the new criteria. So if we cover them this quarter, then we are 100% automation, even with the new criteria. So this is a request. So please pick these up. It will be very helpful. And these are only for automation. I also want to remind there are ones which can't be automated. They still needs manual tests, but this is the ones which requires automation based on the new criteria, and we are planning to automate them. And if you go to the first sheet, first tab, sorry. Yeah, so column D is the assignment, and the column B is the owners. So some of them are from the maintainers, like I delimited the maintainers one, but the owners are actually the maintainers. And assignment is the one which is picked and equally sized for each working group, 4 per working group at this point.
Okay. So was there a clear delineation in the popularity of pages for certain tasks that do we have that data?
We do.
I'd like to see it.
What this is based off of is going to eng.istio.io, going to the web analytics, and then downloading the CSV, and then plugging it into a tool that sorts by number of hits and creates priority off of that, as well as whether they're tested or not.
Any surprises in the list in terms of popular pages?
So I was surprised by some of the pages that some of the discrepancies between what's tested and what's popular. I don't know if there was necessarily any pages that were popular that I wasn't expecting to be popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you actually scroll over here, you can actually see the number of hits on the pages in the last column. But
yeah. Also, there are some pages which are non-English were also hit high, P0, which is also interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
They are in the bottom.
So did we find any pages which had a really high hit count, but the test coverage wasn't there or wasn't sufficient?
These are the ones.
Yeah, we found 24 of them.
Oh, wow, all of them are pretty high. I don't know what high bar was, but yeah, these look like at least 2,000 hits or something.
2,000 hits for
Yeah.
P0.
Mm.
So the way
Yep.
we did was 2,000 hits for P0, 400 for P1, 10 for P2, and less than 10 is P3.
Okay.
And one just highlight to make, if you're actually looking at that, if you're trying to translate from that ENG data to this chart, is when Brian tabulated this chart, we made sure to highlight the hits by page, irregardless of the language of the browser. So basically, anybody hitting the ENG page, whether they were coming from a, ENG, ENBR, or EN whatever browser.
Okay. Those seem like pretty reasonable criteria. So
any questions from the working group leads in the assignment? It's 4 per working group.
So one question I have real quick is for the Chinese pages that ranked high. I forget if we had any P0s that were Chinese, but
There are 2.
I think we should try to test. Yeah, there's 2 of them that I think we should try to test, but we need somebody who speaks Chinese to test them. And those got 3,625 hits in the month and 2,144 hits.
okay, it doesn't sound like there's any questions on this. The month, I think, Sam, is what they were saying, correct?
This is 1 month, 30 days, May 23rd to June 23rd.
Yeah, that's the largest CSV that the dashboard would let me download.
Yeah.
I mean, these pages seem very interesting. Number of hits, and the pages, they're all introductory pages to like security and like traffic management or ingress gateway, which makes sense to me. Like as a early adopter, anyone who is starting out with Istio, that's what they will refer again and again.
Yeah.
So
there is
that makes sense.
overview, there is visualization. All of them are like really the concepts. Kiali, Istio, CNI plugins.
Okay. So the release date you showed is the 12th, correct? That's the build date.
Yes, it's July 11th. That's the feature freeze.
Okay, but not the bug freeze, I would say so.
Not the code freeze. Code freeze is on 3rd August, and the release is 10th August.
Okay. So these tests, these P0 tests, need to be done or addressed by that date. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The testing, asynchronous testing, is starting from 12th of July. So other than this, some manual testing for P0s at least needs to be done. But it would be great if we can start the automation now, so we have time for manual testing.
Okay. We should probably move on then.
Do we have any update on the release manager?
I do not.
Okay, I've worked with Ryan. I believe he got his first PR merged, and he's a developer to the Istio community now. Certainly, we're cutting the release now, so it would be great if we can identify an experienced person.
Yes. I don't know, Kevin, are you here? Have you had a chance to talk to anybody? I had a couple of conversations last week about it, but
Kevin's on vacation this week.
okay. All right, well, I will definitely follow up again this week. We obviously need to resolve it very soon. So
Yeah, thanks, Louis.
it doesn't look like there are any docs waiting for approval. There are obviously a lot of API reviews in flight. I know, Neeraj, you were taking a look at a lot of stuff. I was taking a look at the telemetry API. I'm going to try to get some time with Doug today to look at it. Are there other API reviews that are blocked or need TOC feedback?
There is the rate limit stuff, but I think we are going to do a little bit of more pre-work on the doc, but there is already a proposal, sort of.
Yeah, I looked at it. I saw there were a lot of comments about the kind of the usability of the API. So yeah, that's something I need to think about a bit too. Have others on the TUC had a chance to look at the rate limit API?
Yeah. I feel like maybe I'm missing something, but the rate limiting API, I think it's lacking like the scenarios of rate limiting, and also there was not a lot of examples in the API that to help people make sense and think about how user would consuming them. I'm hoping the documentation meta you are referring to would help fill some of those gaps.
Yes, it will. Yeah, we will have more docs, as in more examples of what scenarios it supports. I mean, generally, if you look at it in Mixer, we had a rate limiting API, and then we didn't have it, and now people are asking for this. So, but we will add explicit documentation.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
So I think last week in networking working group, we had an interesting conversation. I think it was brought up by Costin around how does rate limiting work with locality or retries. I think we should think about it. I don't want it to be a blocker for the first API, but it should be in line with that direction, and should not be in conflict. So we end up migrating things again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But for TOC, I think the common theme and the important thing is, do we want to continue to be to have the APIs basically represent refactoring of Envoy APIs, but with the same kind of feature set and effectively lock us into Envoy only, or do we want the APIs to be a bit more abstract and implementable with other, possible proxies or clients or gateways, and maybe have other vendors implement the same APIs to become kind of a cross-vendor API. And I think that has an important. This decision affects how we represent a lot of APIs and a lot of things we are going to do.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair question. Anyway, we're not going to do the design review here. But there's obviously a lot to discuss on that API. And if it does make sense to have an explicit kind of in-person review meeting for that API, Mandar, don't be shy about trying to set one up.
Yeah, I think that we need the doc first, because otherwise there is the requirements and why has to be laid out, and then we can talk about these things.
Okay.
Now, is the VASAM API, the VASAM deployment, also target for the next release 1.11?
Yes, it is, but fortunately that API has been approved already, and now we're just implementing it. So, but yes, it is.
Okay, because I still saw a lot of unresolved comments in the API repo for that API.
Okay, is there anything specific that you're talking about? Because I mean, it is merged, and it did go through kind of very extensive reviews already. But I mean, if you still have any concerns, then please raise it back. Otherwise, it must be just some API review hygiene where people haven't resolved the comment when the issue was actually resolved.
I see. Is that the one from Daniel? Or maybe we are looking at the wrong one? Because I saw SVEN had a lot of good comments. I think Zhonghu had interesting comments too, but none of those are resolved. I actually was surprised to hear the API already merged. Maybe we were looking at the wrong PR.
Okay, I will follow up. I'll check.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mandar, can you and Lynn sync up offline?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So Mandar, just to summarize, from telemetry side, they're gonna, if all the in-flight merges do get resolved, there's going to be a VASAM extension API. There's going to be a metric and access logging configuration along with tracing. Tracing might have gone in before, I don't remember, and rate limiting. Is that everything, or am I missing something?
That's correct. Those are the big new things. That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, do we have anything else to talk about?
So I added CNAP beta graduation doc at the agenda for today. If you scroll down, Louis, you can.
Sure. Okay.
I'd like to briefly work through this and get TOC's approval. So this doc is a list of required work items for CNAP beta graduation. We're targeting 1.11 release for CNAP beta, and there are several major themes about CNAP beta graduation. First is upgrade and operation safety. So the basic CNI runs as a cluster singleton, and it is not revision based. And we need to make sure that CNI could upgrade and operate safely by the user. And we need to also clarify the doc for the user, like how do they actually operate the CNI. And the design doc for this is already approved by the networking working group, and work is in progress. And the second theme is supportability. So unlike the rest of Istio, like CNI runs as a network plugin. So it runs at no level, so it's hard to debug and monitor it using Kubernetes first-class way. So this work item is about integrate CNI with the Istio tooling, as well as some other flow, like some other way, such as plumb Istio Sinai's log into like Sinai install container, so that we can generate metrics and dump logs into Sinai install container and get first-class Kubernetes support experience for it. And the last two parts, just test and document. So we need to have better tests for Sinai, and currently we have a job which runs all networking tests with Sinai enabled as part of the pre-submit test. And also we're going to have tests which covers the edge cases such as Sinai risk condition mitigation. Yeah, and that is about test. And the last part is document. So like current document is not very user friendly. It makes the user operation with all the configuration reference. So we're going to do or we are going to rework on. We're going to like redo all the Sinai document just to make it more user friendly. And there are some optional items such as like better risk mitigation and measure the performance impact. But we are consider them not as a beta blocker. Yeah, so that is basically the plan. I'm not sure whether TUC member have any feedback on this, or is there anything missed, or if not, can we approve this plan? The networking working group has already approved this plan already.
So there's a couple of optional items listed in the doc. So presumably none of those optional items are considered a blocker for beta.
Right.
Of the optional ones, which is the most desirable to have?
The last one, I think, deployment simplification. So basically we want to combine, like currently there's two Sinai containers. One is for repair, one is for install. And there's no like reason to separate those two containers. And it makes monitoring also hard since Prometheus doesn't have a good way to script, like it basically complicate the monitor story for if you have two containers. Yeah. So, but the other two, I think, definitely not a beta blocker. I'm actually already working on the deployment simplification for the better supportability. So.
Okay.
Peter, a question around tooling and logs.
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned this in the networking meeting too. I mean, most of the CNI plugins have this kind of a daemon set and possibly something running on the node for which they also have to get logs. So how is that solved? Is it normally solved by sending the logs from the node local process over to daemon set?
So at least for Calico, they just dump all the log. Like they, in addition to Kubernetes log, they also dump log into a file into the at the node.
Okay.
So that is one way, but I think it's still not quite friendly. So the way I'm currently working on is just send all the log from the Sinai plugin process to the container via a UDS socket. And that way we can save all the file rotation and processing.
Sorry, is
and,
that
and
going
actually, just to add to that, after Peter suggested this, I spoke with some of the Cilium CNI maintainers, and they are also now thinking about doing the same, as to take the logs from the node and stick it into the actual daemon and get them into Kubernetes. So hopefully more people will do this.
Okay. So we are going to aggregate the logs into the daemon.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just curious if it's common, but yeah, overall it looks good actually. I mean, it simplifies, users can use the same tooling, so I like it.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, can we approve this plan?
Yeah, and I think you confirm all the annotation would continue to work in CNI, right?
Yeah, at least all the annotation covered by the networking pre-summit test will work, like because we have that test. We have a pre-summit test job for CNI, which runs all the networking integration tests. So, but yeah, I think all the annotation should just work.
Okay.
Yeah, this sounds reasonable to me.
Same here. I can approve this. From my side, it's approved.
Yeah, it looks good to me too.
Yeah, looks good. I assume there's no documentation impact.
Documentation. So you mean the user-facing document?
Yeah, for graduate to beta, other than you change from alpha to beta.
There will be like the doc will need some rewrite because current doc is not very user-friendly. It mixes like like operation with like the reference, like it just dump everything into one page, which is not quite good. Like it, so I think we need to at least separate those and yeah.
Okay, I guess I guess can we make the approval contingent on the documentation simplification?
Yeah, it is part of the. It is part of the beta graduation doc. If we scroll down there, it's a doc change.
Yeah, got it.
Another question for you, Peter. So once CNI is beta, I mean, because of the security implications of the non-CNI mode, is there are we going to take a stance around default at some point? If this is stable, can be. I mean, I know it will cause a lot of issues if we switch, but I'm trying to understand if we can move towards making CNI the default thing, or is that just out of the realm?
I would be cautious about that because CNI by default will require like Kubernetes low-level support. At least for GKE, for example, CNI is not the default networking configuration mechanism yet. So enable Istio CNI on it will just not work. So yeah, so I would be cautious and
I see.
Yeah.
For OpenShift users, I know it's the only way out, but I wasn't sure what's happening with other cloud providers. Okay.
So though I think what the goal should be to make CNI the default.
Right.
And I think so then the parts that we have to decide is how do we get there. So I think at some point, not that far into the future, the doc should say use CNI. Like they should say use CNI, and then they should say, okay, well, if you can't use CNI, then this is the other way. But at some point, we'll switch the docs, and then at some point later, we'll actually just do it. But I think that's kind of consistent with where even we want to head.
I think the challenge is the different cloud provider. I mean, instruction is different, and then testing, who's going to do the testing on those?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're not suggesting we switch the default now.
Yep.
Right, and John mentions that maybe we want the race condition fix before we do
that can be a gate to a stable.
Yeah. And performance measurement too. Hopefully it's going to be faster, but it would be good to have data too.
Yeah, if we have a better risk condition mitigation and get rid of the validation unique container, it will definitely be a bit faster. But right now, it's not going to be obvious faster.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's the caveat. A lot of people didn't realize when they first play with CNI that we have the validation container in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's approved. So I can mark that in the doc.
So what is our process now? So once you have this thing marked as marking the documentation as approval, now do you still need anybody approve when you update? I think Brian Avery made a PR process to upgrade the feature status. Okay.
Yep.
So
you update the markdown file for your feature, and then once all that's complete, once everything looks good, to promote it to the next level, you update features.yaml to state the new level. TOC approves that, and then it goes live on Istio.io.
Okay, got it. So you still want us to go approve that PR as well, assuming the work item here has been checked off. Sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, I think we are done.
No, John had an additional item for
okay.
the license.
Oh, it came up in steering. Kevin was going to come back, having talked to the Red Hat lawyers. I've forgotten who on the Google side was going to talk to the Google lawyers. I think there was a discussion. I don't think anybody's hair is on fire about this.
Yeah, if I remember the internal discussion, it was fine because we're not including their code or anything. But don't quote me on that. Wait, this is recorded. Oh. We'll have to verify.
Your opinion can be quoted, Sven. You're not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
We'll verify, but I think we had no problems with it.
Yeah, Sven, do you want to take that one as an AI for the Google one? Kevin, I know Kevin was doing it on the Red Hat side. Or maybe Brian, I don't know if you've talked to Kevin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's done it.
Okay. Well, we won't get an answer for Kevin this week.
Yeah, he's on vacation.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to capture that in the notes.
John, does this decision block your release changes or anything for now, or you're just?
Oh, it's not a big deal. I just
okay.
Following up.
I wouldn't do anything based on this at the moment.
Yeah, there's nothing blocked by it other than that we generally keep up to date. So.
Okay. Alrighty. Have a good week, everybody.
All right. Thank you, folks.
So see you guys in 2 weeks then. No meeting next Monday. Yeah.
Unless there's a fire, yes. See you in 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.